the considering. I'd like to change that motion to just be a discussion item, because I think we put it there just to be an update and check-in as to where things are, and to remind the board of the importance of monitoring how accessible our communication with the at-large body is. So can I get a seconder for that amendment? Okay, I saw Jeff's hand up first. Okay, anyone against that amendment? Anyone abstaining? Okay, seeing none, the motion passes. So now for approval of the agenda, I will take that by consensus. Okay, moving on to the territorial acknowledgement. The Board of Directors acknowledges that the University of Waterloo is on the traditional territory of the neutral Anishinaabe and Haudenosaunee peoples. Our organization operates on the Haldeman Tract, land promises 6 nations, which includes 6 miles on each side of the Grand River. I just wanted to take an additional moment to sort of expand on the territorial acknowledgements today. I had the opportunity earlier today to meet with the Indigenous Student Association at the Waterloo Indigenous Student Center down in, well, now it's called United College. But we had a really fruitful conversation about what their goals are as an organization. They're a separate organization from us now. They used to be part of WUSA, but have since wanted sovereignty. And that's something that makes sense given the history of First Nations peoples. So yeah, I had a really good conversation with them there, and I will be providing updates at a later time on some of that. But in WUSA, something that we've learned to do around land acknowledgements is, you know, they can seem a little rote and half-hearted at times. And another thing that I learned quite recently was you're not doing a land acknowledgement right if there's not a lump in your throat. You should be speaking from the heart. But yeah, a practice that I just learned is to talk a little bit about something that you learned and use it as a teaching opportunity or an opportunity for reflection. So I guess the teaching opportunity that I'm taking today is to tell you that this really interesting thing I came across a couple of years ago. So there's this idea called survivalence, which is a way of sort of pivoting how we think about First Nations communities. Typically, like in media, we focus on death or drunkenness or just really dismal things, and that can be very disheartening and very discouraging. So survivalence is sort of an artistic and technological movement to focus on Indigenous peoples in today and in the future. Interestingly enough, there's actually another subsect of this called Afrofuturism that I came across once before that has a similar approach, but as related to Black culture. So anyways, that's just a really cool thing that I came across and would like to share with board members, and also just the one student who is apparently watching the YouTube video there. So obviously, we need to do more than just land acknowledgements and whatnot, and I'm sure we can figure that out as a board of how to advance indigenization. So with that, moving on to the oral conflict of interest declaration, the chair poses the following question in relation to any of the items of business on the agenda for this meeting. Does any director have an actual, perceived, or potential conflict of interest? Seeing none, we will move on to reports. Okay, so I guess I'll go first. I'll provide more fulsome reports and probably end up repeating some of these things in the report that I send monthly. But just so that folks are aware, at the Board of Governors, they voted on the tuition for next year. So for domestic students, they voted to allow them to increase by the maximum allowed by the Ministry of Colleges and Universities. There's not a real number attached to that. The reason why there's no real number attached to that is because the ministry has yet to release their tuition framework for the year yet. So this is the second year that it's been late, which is rather frustrating. But the way that they've done it now is that it seems that out-of-province tuition could potentially be higher than in-province tuition. So this is a conversation we've been talking a lot about in 3AC, just because there's a lot of consequences for that on the educational system of Ontario as a whole. It isn't a practice that is done at a lot of provinces. It's only Quebec and Newfoundland that currently have it. There's been a lot of consequences in the US as well with in-state and out-of-state tuition. So that's something that 3AC has been talking a lot and working on, and hopefully we'll have a recommendation for an advocacy stance at board to be adopted on that shortly. The major sort of thing for me, moving on, I guess, to the any report from the Vice President. Vice President, Government and Stakeholder Affairs.
Sorry, I know I had my email open. I apologize. I was trying to find the unmute button. Trying to think. Sorry, I got caught off guard. UCRU's just general report stuff.
Yeah.
UCRU's an interesting spot right now. Things are not going so hot. A number of schools seem like they're jumping ship to CASA, so that's going to be something interesting. I think I talked recently with Jill today. I think we're probably going to look like we're definitely exploring that a little bit and options to follow that federal advocacy wise. I think if we were to do it, I don't think it would be coming up shortly, but more so. Pardon?
Is now joining.
Oh. I think it would be I think it would be after some other schools have already started their observership, so that way we would be offset so we could see what happens there, because you get a 2-year free trial. Just seeing as 4 or 5 schools seem interested in CASA, UCRU very much might not be a thing. And then more specifically, we've been working on some stuff with the Stratford campus, met with GBDA and their MPP, Matthew Ray. That went really well, and he seems really in line. It was more of an intro meeting. But long-term, looking at some solutions, I think we're going to get together some focus groups and some pieces there, and then probably doing a joint letter with the GBDA, maybe some admin from Stratford campus and WUSA, potentially to Waterloo's university admin, just touching base on a need there, because I think everybody's in line except Waterloo's main campus. I think that's probably it for updates for now.
Cool. Moving on to Suzanne, if you have anything that you want to highlight.
No, thanks. I don't think I do, Steph.
Okay. Okay, so we don't have any special orders, so we'll be moving on to general orders. So for the range of all these minutes, I'll take myself as the original mover, so I'll just need seconders on them. So approval of the minutes for the meeting held in January 26, 2023. It resolved that board approves the public minutes of the January 26, 2023 as presented. I get a seconder. Angela seconds. Were there any concerns with those minutes?
Where will they be shared?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Where will they be shared?
So they're posted on the website.
I guess we just set it on a later page.
So
I know it's only for the 2022.
it should show. So it would be in like the board page, and there's like a chart, and like in the chart it has all the board meetings. So that one would just populate, because currently it's like blacked out because there's no file there.
Got you.
Okay. If there's no concerns with the minutes, then I will take that by consensus. Moving on to the next set of minutes, approval of the minutes of the meeting held in May 1st, 2022. Be it resolved that board approves the public minutes of the May 1st, 2022 as presented. Can I get a seconder for that set? Rania? Okay. Do you have any corrections that we want to make to those minutes potentially? Just for folks who are curious, all of the board was sent the videos of the minutes. So even if they weren't physically present there, they do have the opportunity to check the validity of those minutes. Naman?
I don't particularly have a correction, but I will note that the minutes had basically no information. Like there was no discussion noted down at all. It just said what motions were there and which passed and which failed. I don't know if these are good minutes. I don't know. I just wanted to note that. They are accurate though. I did watch the videos. They are accurate.
Esther, I don't know if you want to provide any comment on that.
Yes, so this is in line with what the board advisors had actually advised that or recommended that the minutes should be like, because currently I'm not preparing the minutes based on what they've advised strictly, because I still put a bit of content in it, but ideally they had said that the minutes should probably be like decision and action based. So that was me just trying to reflect what they had said.
Okay. Sorry, Naman.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I see that. Okay, if that's what's asked for.
Yeah. I guess I'll say that my personal preference is for the minutes to be a little bit more detailed. I find them a little bit more helpful for students to navigate, and it is a little bit more transparent. So I like the direction that you've been going more recently with the minutes, Esther. For the purposes of approving these minutes, like there is the option for us to say, hey, we want more detail in them, and then go ahead and approve them. But I would say there's also video recordings, which the public sessions will be available publicly. So it's not like that information is being hidden. I just think in best use of Esther's time is probably spent on future items, which is why I'm not personally proposing that we not approve these minutes. Naman?
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I would just also like to voice my support for the more detailed minutes. So I guess I will say let's just approve these and then keep moving forward with the detailed minutes moving forward.
Okay. Okay. In that case, anyone opposed to approving these minutes? Anyone against? Sorry. Anyone abstaining? Okay. Seeing nothing, moving on to the next set. I'm not going to read that out loud. Can I get a seconder? Jeff seconds. Any comments on those minutes? Okay. Seeing none, I will approve those minutes by consensus. Thankfully, those minutes can all be posted now because it's been a little bit, but good. Are we missing a set of minutes from this? Sorry. Is there a
I think there was
June
one
30
meeting
minute?
that only had confidential minutes.
Oh, okay. I guess it was just a confidential meeting then?
That's what I assumed given the content that was provided.
Okay.
Yes.
Moving on. Approval of senior leadership team as signing authority. Sorry, are folks okay if we switched item 4.4 and 4.5 ahead of the 4.3? Esther, is it okay if I just do that?
Yeah, you can move a motion to do that.
Okay, sorry, folks. Just I've been told with. Wait, never mind. Suzanne?
I was just going to say, Steph, I think that 4.4, I think Melissa was hoping for like 6:30, so I'm not sure how long
Yeah.
4.3 will take.
Sorry,
Okay.
Sorry, I
Okay.
forgot what you had mentioned and I mixed up the time.
No
So
worries.
ignore that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry, approval of senior leadership team as signing authority. Be it resolved that board approves the director of communications, stakeholder relations, the director of operations and development, and the director of student engagement as additional signing authorities. The corporation for checks valued at up to $10,000, submitted by Suzanne. Do
I'll
I
move.
get a mover and a seconder?
Catherine will move.
Okay. Oh, I'll second. Okay, Chen seconds. So there's a brief attached here. I'll let Suzanne or Alana speak to this if they would like.
Sure, I can speak to it briefly. It's just, I'm just going to say, I guess the brief kind of speaks for itself, but at the end of the day, we're just looking to have a couple of extra signing authorities, our 3 directors' roles, to help one, alleviate some of the time that it takes myself, as well as just really to improve efficiencies to get the checks out quicker and back to students. So having more signing officers help us to do that. So that's why we're, along with Matthew, I'm sure would prefer to not keep coming and signing checks. And also lastly, with the financial officer moving on, it would be great if I could free up a little bit of time where I can to spend my time there as well. Happy to answer any questions.
Jeff?
I know that in the board policy manual rewrite, we've placed some restrictions on purchasing. Would these signing authorities be bound by the same procedures there?
Yes, they would, and I believe it's that as long as the amounts are budgeted, we can sign off on things with an approved budget. It's the parameters are outside of an approved budget, I believe, where those limits are. I think I'm correct in that.
That's correct, Suzanne.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. I will note that one of the folks which this affects is present right here, so I don't know if people would like me to ask Kumar to step out now or if it's fine. Kumar, can you take a walk for like 2 minutes? Sorry. Thank you. Okay. Are there any last minute comments here? No? Okay. Everyone opposed, please raise your hand. Everyone abstaining. Okay. Rania abstains. Okay. So motion passes with 1 abstention. Moving on to the next item. Is Melissa available now? Do we know?
I can send her a quick message and ask her to call in.
Okay. Yeah. We're gonna take a 5-minute break because we need to get Kumar, and apparently Ranya's laptop died. Catherine, you can take this as an opportunity to start singing.
Is anybody else really cold, or is it?
Yeah, it's really cold.
So cold.
It's pretty chilly.
Is that a heater? Is it? Oh, there's a heater back here. Is this a heater?
I don't think that's a heater.
No, that's an air
Oh, sorry.
purifier.
God, it's cold.
It's so cold.
It's not my coat.
Right? Okay, I thought it was just me. I thought I was being crazy.
That's my coat.
I'm so sore. Okay, why is it so low? Oh no, I can't.
I won't do anything. That's just for show. Yeah, our heating at this side of the building is very outdated. It's water cooled and heated, so it's 8 degrees outside. It turns everything at the system. It takes a long time.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
like,
it's very cold.
even my jacket's cold. I don't like that.
Just waiting for Melissa. Then were you able to get a hold of Melissa?
I have sent her a message and haven't heard back from her, so we could potentially flip 4.5 and what Kumar's there, so she can join us when we're done.
Okay. Motion to flip. Can I get a seconder? Okay. Angela seconds. Okay. Okay. Anyone against flipping?
I'm not against flipping. I just want to know what we're flipping.
Oh, sorry. We're flipping 4.5 earlier just because Kumar is here and Melissa is not, and that's the relevant stat for each of these.
All right, thank you.
Suzanne?
No, I was just going to say Melissa just said sure, so whatever. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. Doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I don't think she's on here yet, so shit, it's fine.
Okay. I will take a motion by consensus. Okay. Seeing no objections to that. Kumar, hi.
Hi.
Well, okay, it's just motion, but then you can speak to that. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I guess as we all know, the bomb shelter space is a WUSA priority for us this year, and we've been getting we've been hearing updates from staff on that, but we'd just like to once again check in and perhaps receive the regular updates. Additionally, in the meantime, since the timeline is stretches quite a while with many steps to go, we were. It might be a good idea to use that space for the benefit of students in the meantime. Since I believe that space isn't being used for anything except perhaps storage, I think it would be a good idea for the board to look to increase the amount of student spaces by converting that space into something bookable for student clubs and events.
Sorry, before we go further into this, I just want to second this so that we're allowed to speak.
That was it from my end.
Yeah, I'll just add as seconder quickly that, yeah, for a while I have been seeing a lot of questions from students around what's going on with the bomb shelter space. Is it available for booking? Quite a few alumni were actually interested. So it's been empty for a while, and I'll say it's a little bit disappointing for it to be empty when it's a very great space. I mean, it's a little dilapidated now, but like it was a great space when it was open. It still has the features there, and it will become a great space in the future. But as we know that there's a lack of available booking space for students. So if we can open up any more without disrupting the plans for the future bomb shelter, I think that's something we would like to explore. And if there's budget needed to do that. I personally am supported to facilitate that interim time because student experience is worth the dollars. Sorry. Come on, and then Kumar can start talking.
Yeah, I was just wondering if we are only looking for bookable spaces in this motion. I was wondering if we could just have it be open, like, you know, the SLC dining area is, just like have a place for students to hang out. I don't know if someone read the article recently in Imprint about third spaces, like spaces for you to just hang out and like not necessarily study or, you know, do some particular thing that's academic. Just putting that out there. I don't know what the realities of that are, but yeah.
Jeff, do you want to speak to the intent behind it?
Yeah, I guess the intent is really just to open up more student spaces. So if that doesn't impede the progress of the bomb shelter plan, leaving it open as well when it's not being booked sounds like a good idea to me.
Now I'll let Kumar go.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for letting me speak to this, at least on the operational side. So from where I last presented in the fall term, unfortunately, there hasn't been any significant movement because the next steps for the lounge plan and the bomb shelter plan was to solidify our financing plan. And we've been waiting on two things on that. Is number one is working with our financial officer, which we're short now, unfortunately, to solidify and lay out some feasible plans. We just haven't gotten to that, and unfortunately, right now we're short that. And then the second one is meeting with the university administration to seek their support. That meeting is still TBD, and we're hoping to have that within the next month or so. So those are the two outstanding things there. We're hoping to give you folks a significant report as to when to expect that financing plan and what the university thinks and how they're going to support it in the next coming probably month or so for that. In terms of the vacancy and the underutilization of the space, our operational team has identified that. We were waiting until fall to see what the reopening of our campus center and our school life center looks like, to see what the needs were. But actually, it was before COVID, we actually did start cleaning up a lot of that space, prepping it to have some sort of an interim operational plan for it. So just for context, that space has been vacant since 2018. So from 2018 to 2022, about 4 years, there has been some things that have deteriorated in that space that we've been already addressing. The work orders are in motion. They have been over the last year. Reconnecting our bathroom fixtures in that space. There's been leaks in the ceilings. It's an old building, and it wasn't a top priority in the maintenance schedules. So, and then also, because there was a full bar, bars have fridges and fixtures and all those types of things. We've been taking those things out to make it usable and a safe place that students can use that space by removing all the old fixtures. So we've been working on that. We're almost there, and kind of our interim plan for that space, and we're totally okay to amend it based on the needs of the organization. But what we have identified is from Monday to Friday, from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., this building is extremely occupied. We see 10 to 15,000 visitors a day, and the new food court area only has 400 seats. It's very, very much occupied. So for us to open the bomb shelter space as auxiliary seating and lounge space, so students can bring their food and eat, and can increase that seating. And then in the evenings, after 5 p.m., for it to be a bookable space managed by our campus life department, like any bookable space or a multi-purpose room in this building would be, like the MPR or the Black and Gold room, to treat that space under those kind of procedures and mechanisms to make sure that this is not a free-for-all. But yeah, those two things are kind of what we're hoping to get it back up to and as to get utility out of it, so it just doesn't sit vacant and further deteriorate. So that is currently it's a side project. It wasn't a main project, so it has been on the back burner, but we have been chipping away at it. And over the last couple of weeks, I've met with Dave McDougall, our director on the campus life side, and he's also kind of helped address a few things. There's exposed wiring work orders that have already gone in. Just got to make sure there's pest control, that we work with the university to restart custodial service so the space stays cleaned and maintained, and a few other things as well. So there are a few operational things that we're still working on, but that is where we're taking it. Hopefully, by March of this year, we can reopen it. So within the next couple of weeks, we're very much there. It's just a few finishing touches that we have. So we have been on it, but we're also at mercy of the timelines of how fast when we put in a work order, depending on wires, it's how fast the electricians get to us to fix those wires and getting it to a safe and usable space. So I hope that provides a little bit of context to where that is. I'm happy to answer any questions or clarifications around and where we're taking it for the interim, but it's very much to what you're asking for is what we're hoping to deliver. And again, if there's any opportunities that we can enhance that, we can definitely keep that back to the table.
First, that sounds awesome. Initially, when I heard something around a fall timeline, my first question was, is there anything the board can do to make it sort of more priority or give you more resources? But then when you said March, which is just a few weeks away, pending electricians coming in, that does sound like a really great timeline for students. But I guess I'd pose the same question regardless, just in case. Is there anything that the board can do in terms of support or?
Yes, we are. We're still trying to get. There have been some costs, but they've been not. We've been able. We have budgeted repair and maintenance costs for the building and stuff, so we've had the dollars available. So the next couple of things. Even restarting the bathrooms and reconnecting those, the university said we're not going to be charged for that. So like we're still chipping away at kind of the finishing touches to the space. There's still a few things left, but there may be some monetary costs involved that may not fit within our budget, but we'll bring that to this table if we need that.
Any other questions from folks? Angel?
Just a quick question. So in terms of like connecting like what the space will be in the next month or so plus, and like what it will be as like the plans continue to develop, will students kind of like be posted on that information? Because I know that obviously like there are students who like, for like myself, and when I was in first year, the bomb shelter was open for like a few months and then it closed. So there might be still a few students who will have like that old idea and then see like that, which I 100% actually think is a really good idea. Makes a lot of sense considering that there is not enough space to sit and eat. But like just for them to also know like at least have the idea of like what is to come as well for that space.
Yeah, I think once we definitively have the financing plan and some sort of a groundbreaking schedule, I think like the SLC project, we generally spin up a microsite website for the students that give incremental updates that, if there are consultations as we're buying furniture or choosing the whatever, getting those folks engaged. So between that and then also our marketing teams have in the past done visual display outside, where like space would be to provide that type of update. So we can definitely get back on that. I think solidifying the financing plan and the groundbreaking would be best. And it's so hard to explain. I mean, what does that mean to the average student? That doesn't really mean much, but they want to see a space and they want to see some function. So I do understand kind of that challenge.
How long is two questions here. So assuming that we have to go through financing and all these building approvals and everything, like what do you perceive as like the minimum amount of time that like we reopen this space and we have to close it again to do construction or whatnot on it? So like how short could that time span possibly end up being?
Realistically, between the committees of the university that we have to and all that, we're probably minimum 1 year out from a groundbreaking, right?
Okay.
So, yeah.
Like anything we do now is
We're gonna
isn't
get,
gonna suddenly.
there's gonna be utility, yeah. It's not gonna be flipped over tomorrow.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
And for any of the renovations and the work, the maintenance and stuff we're putting into it, is there anything that I guess might be seen as like redundant, like bathrooms you need smashed down or something?
We're avoiding that. We're trying to keep as lean as possible.
Okay.
And like that's why nothing's at that threshold to like come to the board level yet for the financing approval. So we've been able to squeeze it into some of our day-to-day repair maintenance costs and stuff like that in the neighborhood of thousands of dollars per expense. So it's very small rather than it's like tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah, I mean there might be a couple of surprises that I get, but hopefully not.
Yeah, but that's good. At least I'm very happy with where we're going with the plan and everything. So, any other questions or comments on this?
I guess my only one is, since there is all this amazing work going on, should we modify this motion or?
I think it's kind of fine. It's a little bit redundant, but like, well, we requested a plan and there's kind of a plan for what we'll get an update. If you can give us an update.
By early March, we should have an update or
Yeah.
opening or hopefully like an update as to,
Yeah.
within a couple of weeks.
Yeah. It's a little redundant, but I think it puts forward in the position of if there's any reason why the thing gets stalled further, we can at very least like receive something from Kumar that explains everything that's going on.
Yep.
So I would say it's probably fine too.
Awesome.
Okay. Okay. Is anyone opposed? Is anyone abstaining? Okay. Rania abstains. Seeing none, the motion passes.
And then, sorry, the other thing that we can do is schedule possibly a walkthrough, regardless of the state. How about that? In the early March, we can schedule a walkthrough, regardless of the state, so you folks get context as to what's going on. Hopefully, it's good news that it's open.
Okay.
But otherwise, we see the hole in the ground.
And no one gets bitten by rats or whatever.
Yeah, we're gonna try to take care of all that.
Nothing's gonna drop on our head or anything.
Okay.
It's the stuff we can coordinate that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and thank you so much
Absolutely.
for
Yeah, no, my
the
pleasure.
update. Yeah. I like to hear it's already been doing.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to 4.4, communication between student governance and at-large body. So this is just an opportunity for us to talk about this again, and for staff to give some updates, and I guess officers to also get some updates on what's going on here. So Melissa.
Hey, folks. Just a quick update from 2 weeks ago, which is mostly that all of the things we talked about are in place or in progress. So leading up to this board meeting, I think just 3 or 4 days after the last board meeting, we were able to get all of the board meetings up on our events page for the remainder of the term. So those are there for students to see, with the link to the YouTube live opportunity, as well as the link to the agenda and previous minutes. So those are in there. And then we did do some promotion leading up to this board meeting, a few posts on Twitter and LinkedIn, as well as Instagram. And then I have been in touch with Esther, who has kindly offered to help put together a bit of a synopsis in conjunction with, I think, our chair and vice chair of the meeting minutes from the last 2 meetings from January meetings. So I did just get that synopsis today. So we're going to look at getting a bit of a synopsis and an update up and out on our website, hopefully by the end of next week if we're able to. So getting those initial things in the works as we continue to talk about some more things that we can do to keep students abreast of the things going on at board leading into our next fiscal year. So that's the update for me.
Cool. Do you have any questions for Melissa? I'll just say a little bit of another update that we're working on. This is for the committees, having the minutes available and up on the website. That's something that I spoke to Esther about, and I think we're planning on moving forward with. So that was something that wasn't really done before underneath the previous governance model. So it's a nice sort of change there, but it's obviously something we still have to work on. I also hope when we organize the director reports in a little bit more of a streamlined way, we can get more information there. I haven't yet spoken to marketing about this, but I would be interested in maybe taking some of the information from the president's report and putting it somewhere. I don't think it necessarily needs to be like in people's faces, because I recognize that we have a very limited amount of space on our social media channels to show things, but I think as long as things are publicly accessible and you can find them through Google or just poking around the website. But obviously there's still some areas of improvement that need to be done there, at least from what we've heard from the folks running the elections. It seems like a common theme is transparency and visibility of what's going on at board. So glad to say that we've improved from where we were before, and it's taken a little while, but hopefully next year we also see some new ideas on that front. So thank you very much, Melissa, for the update. So there was no motion actually attached to that since we changed that to just a discussion item. So I'll just move on to other business. Okay. Seeing no other business, can I get a motion to move into the confidential session? Okay. And moves, Jeff seconds. Okay. We'll wait a little bit. Bye.